Hi guys, it's Carrie from healthierwealthierwiser.com, and I thought I would take this opportunity to introduce you to my puppy Lilu, who's right here. Say hello, Lilu. Hello. Yeah, thank you for the kisses. Anyway, I'll put her down now. Hold on just a second. So I'm back, and I realize it's been a while since I've made one of these videos. And I'm going to try and be concise and kind of let you know what's going on with me. So the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is my diet. I do mention in a prior video that I had every intention of trying a raw food diet. And I did do that. It wasn't what I hoped it would be. I had a lot of trouble keeping my blood sugar stable. A lot of highs and a lot of lows. And based on that, I determined that it was probably better for me to include animal protein in my diet. So that's the direction that I've gone. I did not go back to low carb. I've been doing a paleo diet. And if you want to know about the paleo diet that I'm doing, you can go to marksdailyapple.com. and look at that diet. And it's a diet called the Primal Blueprint. And I'm pretty happy with it. I find that I've kind of lost interest in food a bit. So it's fairly easy to follow for me now. And that's pretty much that. That's going okay. The next thing I want to talk to you about is doctors. If you've been reading my blog, you will know that I have a serious problem with doctors. And you'll find that with a lot of people who are chronically ill or who have multiple chronic conditions, that they hate doctors, and for good reason. I finally decided in December that I needed to re-tackle. You know what? I'm going to have to pause here because she's making a huge racket and I need to go see what she's doing. So I'll be back. And I had just started talking about how in December of this year I decided that I really needed to re-tackle my symptoms that I've been having. And when I first started having a lot of these symptoms was, like 7 years ago. And I went to the doctor, and I ended up just getting sort of moved from one doctor to another. And they all basically assumed that that what I was dealing with was something that fell under the umbrella of something that I already had. So they never really tested me for anything, and I ended up leaving the whole process like a year and a half later or 2 years later, none the wiser, and very frustrated, and I just gave up. And so I decided to just accept that that's how my life was going to be. Back in December or the end of last year, I really realized that I couldn't keep doing this. My quality of life is pretty non-existent. And I made an appointment with a doctor to talk to her about what had been going on with me. And I went in and I told her, and she seemed fairly receptive. And she ran, the typical physical exam blood work. And that's when the blood sugar thing came to light. And unfortunately, because of that, she kind of dropped the initial reason that I'd come in. And after, back and forth with her for a while and discussions with my husband, initially I'd wanted to sort of give her the benefit of the doubt and wait to see what she would do. And then I sort of realized that I don't have any more time. This is going on too long, and I really needed to find a doctor who would take me seriously right off the bat and realize that there was something going on underneath the surface. and see if there was any way that I could get some help. And so I did some serious research and found a doctor that I thought would be good, and I went to see her, and she was wonderful. Really wonderful. She spent an hour with me, took a long medical history, and hiccups, and ran just an incredible amount of tests. Took like 8 or 9 vials of blood, sent me away with a saliva test kit for my adrenal hormones, and I left feeling really encouraged that at least someone's taking me seriously. I mean, even if we don't find anything, you know, I know that I've been heard, and that's very reassuring. Anyway, last Thursday, I got my results back. Some things were interesting. Some things were a little bit frightening. And I will go ahead and lead into the next segment. I had to pause at some point because my husband had come home. So I'm going to stop this here and pick up in the next segment. So it turns out that there were 2 segments that were corrupted. And this one was where I talked briefly about my blood sugar. And when I was tested back in December, my A1C, which is the marker of it's the measure of your blood sugar over time, was at 8.7, which anything above 6.5 is diabetic. When I got my results back on Thursday, all of the changes that I've made, the small dose of metformin, the supplements, the diet stuff, has brought my A1C down to 6, which I am really happy with. So I'll leave that there. So I was going to go through each lab one by one, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to talk about the ones that were important. So I already talked about the diabetes one. My vitamin D is still low. I'm still deficient. I need to up my vitamin D. My markers of inflammation are high, which isn't a big surprise. I'll get to that later. My DHEA, which is an adrenal hormone, was elevated. It was twice what it should be. I'm still overproducing insulin, which is both good and bad. It means that I don't have type 1.5 diabetes, that it's type 2. And if you don't know what 1.5 is, especially if you have type 2, it's important for you to Google it. And that's where I'll leave that. Go ahead and Google that. I'm allergic to peanuts. My progesterone is low. I need to be on progesterone supplements now. I'm skipping all of the tests that are either not interesting or came back normal. I don't have lupus, or at least I didn't test positive for lupus, which is very good news. I don't want to have lupus. And then the last is I did a cortisol saliva test, which is where they check, and cortisol is an adrenal hormone also, just like DHEA, where you essentially have to, they give you these test tubes that have like cotton balls in them that are cylindrical, and you follow all of their instructions, and you have to take the cotton balls and put them underneath your tongue at particular times of the day. And mine came back really elevated, or at least elevated anyway. my nighttime ones are pretty elevated. So from 6 to 8 in the morning. I'm glad you got to see that, because I think that's telling. So what this means now is that I need to be tested for Cushing's, both syndrome and disease. And they're different. I'm not 100% sure yet how they're different. But I'm going to have to pee in a jug for 24 hours. And I'm going to get to why this is significant in another video. But we may actually be getting somewhere. And I am grateful for that. So that's it. I think I've given you a decent update as quickly as possible. And I'll see you soon.